Welcome everyone to today's presentation. I'm thrilled to be sharing these thoughts with you all. We're going to delve directly into a fascinating concept, the undefined. This isn't necessarily a negative space. It represents the boundary or limit in any conceptual framework or area of application. This topic isn't all doom and gloom. It's often an important catalyst, a motivator of expansion, and a necessary consideration for progress. We'll specifically be looking at how this notion of being undefined appears and what that means in automotive designs, trading cards, and beyond. Hi everyone. Today I'm focusing on the idea of what's undefined, examining its role particularly in systems and industries, and thinking about it beyond typical boundaries. You know, those edge cases and the really tricky scenarios that might not fit our initial design or expectations. Essentially, this slide is establishing the core concept. It's about looking at what truly means to be undefined, that which lacks clarity, limits, a firm baseline. It exists often in the spaces where our current frameworks, theories, and practical applications simply hit a boundary. It's not inherently a bad thing, though. Often, it's that very lack of definition or boundary that pushes us to go even farther and understand something more fundamentally. So the concept of undefined doesn't exist in one small space. It's a widespread idea. We see it when we try to grapple with things where traditional rules simply don't work anymore. Think about something seemingly simple, like dividing 0 by 0. It's just mathematically not clearly defined. That same lack of definition pops up everywhere. An unexplored area on a map is undefined. Similarly, absolute darkness, the complete lack of light, is kind of undefined. It highlights those frontier conditions that are waiting to be understood. When you think about any engineered object, whether it's furniture or vehicles, unexpected events come up. Those are moments where existing guidelines aren't enough. It's in those gaps that you see where modifications are needed. For instance, imagine a car pod failing or something during an automated system update. It's in those situations that it's most crucial to consider contingencies. The Nissan Leaf was really groundbreaking. It showed a path forward for cars, moving us away from typical gas engines for the first time. Thinking back then, electric vehicle adoption felt like entering totally unknown areas. Consumers were hesitant, partially because there were so few charging stations at that point. Additionally, people worried about things like driving range and how long those recharges could actually take. So there was a good amount of anxiety around those aspects as well. This slide is about the rise and possibilities surrounding Nissan Leaf trading cards. It's interesting because these kinds of investments thrive on unpredictability. Companies trying to build a niche product and brand, leaning heavily on a rapidly evolving and relatively unproven market, are inherently walking a line. There's huge potential for growth here. And aisle deals add a powerful element, and widespread brand recognition is a big win, obviously, but it's equally important to acknowledge that there are very real downsides. Expanding into new markets always carries a degree of risk, and there's always a chance of creating some confusion about the brand's core values. The leaf trading card scene is an especially interesting case when we are talking about undefined states. It's really prone to swings in what people think about the market. If it struggles to keep its popularity, or people just stop interested, the values can be really unpredictable. Ultimately, the future depends greatly on volatility. A lot of change and possibility might lie ahead, or new innovations could change the market again. It all really boils down to keeping trust from consumers. This next point looks at the brand collaboration specifically. Partnering with iconic figures like Russell Wilson. The strategy involves leveraging Russell's reach to build both awareness of Leaf cars and solidify a positive perception of the brand in the marketplace. There's a focus on expanding the fan base, enhancing visibility, and essentially fostering a broader sense of support and credibility around Leaf trading cards overall. The Deuce Knight partnership truly seemed to propel those Leaf trading cards and the broader brand itself well past niche interests into something more widely accessible. We saw heightened visibility in several places. The overall popularity really grew with it, not just amongst existing collectors, but with a more diverse audience. And you could generally observe and potentially experience a solid increase in their monetary value, too. It felt like a really successful convergence of worlds. Let's consider situations where a self-driving car encounters something unpredictable or an edge case not built into its design. Imagine a faulty sensor or a completely novel emergency. In these circumstances, the IE needs to act quickly, but isn't working with reliable information. It's a situation where standard protocols break down and everything becomes undefined. Addressing this demands incredibly thoughtful engineering and a robust system of backups to ensure the car can react safely. So when things aren't behaving as expected, when situations are truly undefined, it's really important to think through those edge cases. Think about, for instance, if an EV is stuck out on a highway, not receiving a proper signal, and just kind of halted while it's trying to charge. What protocols do we trigger then to guarantee the user's safety and prevent further complications? A robust system acknowledges that unforeseen circumstances will always occur. Sometimes stepping outside of known boundaries and embracing aspects that aren't fully understood is the driving force behind genuinely groundbreaking developments. Those moments of ambiguity, of venturing into the unexplored, really spark innovation. It allows engineers to rethink assumptions and pursue concepts like self-repairing materials and more sustainable solutions. Things that simply wouldn't appear otherwise if we only tried to stick to what we already knew was possible. Okay, that's the quick rundown on the references used here today. You're looking at resources primarily detailing the Nissan LEIAF, technical information, reviews of different models, discussions on value and pricing, as well as community information about ownership experiences and battery maintenance. I'm happy to have explored this topic with all of you, and thank you for your time and attention.